Welcome back to incredibly useful exercises for the double bass, where we condition specific aspects of our performance in short, stolen moments. Throughout this fall semester, I've gotten a lot of great questions about how to use these books and exercises, so I thought I'd throw out some ideas for you to try. Let's explore some practical ways to use incredibly useful exercises in your weekly schedule. And while we're at it, let's explore elements and methods of practice and how to create a self-managed practice routine that will equip you to meet your goals. I want to thank Joey Nager for his generous support of this series. Joey has been my go-to luthier for over 5 years. He sculpted my fingerboards buzz-free on both my 1850 English orchestra bass and my solo bass, making them so easy to play, and his tone work on my basses keeps them sounding full, free, and beautiful. Many professional working bassists throughout Texas rely on Joey for fixing and maintaining their treasured instruments. The Joey Nager prize-winning basses are also wonderful instruments. Please visit Joey's website listed below, and if you happen to be in the Houston area, pay him a visit to play his basses and to see how he can improve the playability and tone of your instrument. The incredibly useful exercises, both the workout books and the individual exercises, are designed to be a fairly small part of your weekly workout. Not because they're not important, but because if you do them correctly and give them your total attention for those few minutes, that's all you need to understand and exercise each technique. Then you can proceed to apply those principles to the other pieces in your arsenal. These exercises and books are designed to be used, not just learned. They're based on athletic concepts of progressive resistance, repetition, and deep focus. Most of them don't even require endgame level technical skill to execute, so any level player can use them. So how are the exercises and books different? Well, generally speaking, the individual exercises can be played anytime, as your curiosity and study lead you. The workout books, however, are highly structured and focused, and you'll get the best results by playing one of them cover to cover about 2 to 3 times per week for a couple of weeks in a row. Think of them like a cardio workout at the gym. They're a cover-to-cover set of exercises that take the guesswork out of your practice, and when you repeat them exactly and frequently, allow you to dig deep into your physical, mental, and technical systems. That's how I recommend using them. Use the individual exercises freely as supplements, use the workout books regularly as a conditioning routine, and use the rest of your time to play and practice. Now, let's talk more about practicing. I get a lot of questions about practice. How do you practice? How do you get the most out of it? How much should I practice? What do I practice? I can't practice like everyone else. It's like it's some kind of science that everyone else magically knows how to do, but for some reason I just can't make myself do it. Well, these are all fair and important questions, and here's how I approach the answers. The thing I love about our bass community is our diversity. We're not limited to a single culture, style, or profession. It's not just students, teachers, or professionals in the symphonic world. It's anyone who plays, studies, or teaches the bass in any style. I've gotten comments and emails from young learners, adult amateurs, professional orchestra players, jazz bassists, college students, college teachers, lots more, all sharing their own perspectives on how they use the exercises on this channel. So considering this range of humans who play the bass, it's not realistic to describe the concept of practicing as a single universal routine. Think of it like a wardrobe style choice. There are certain things that need to happen to be effective, but in the end, it's just going to be a different thing for each person, depending on what you want to accomplish, what kind of music you love, and how you like to have fun. So, for this episode, I'm going to present 5 pillars of practice: the rules, the why, what, and how of practicing, and why it's important to try not to be perfect. These 5 foundations apply to any musician preparing for a career in the music industry. The first pillar is the basic rules, specifically 5 basic practice rules that must be in place or nothing else you do will matter. Number 1, play first, practice second. Whenever possible, use the word play instead of practice. Instead of, I should practice the bass, think, I get to play the bass. This doesn't change the work that needs to be done, but it does inject elements of ownership, curiosity, fun, and exploration into the session, which all work to keep your heart alive. It's your playtime, not a work session where you need to satisfy the boss's musical tastes. Your instrument, your music, your muscles, your education. Own it, work it, and enjoy it. Number 2, be consistent. Regular practice always beats inconsistency. Think of practicing and muscle conditioning like watering a plant. You can't go a week without watering a plant, then expect to just dump 5 gallons of water and have the plant thrive. Your brain and muscle growth are governed by the rules of nature, just like a plant. I love Sandra Roslin's quote, persistent, intelligent effort over time produces results. Number 3, schedule a recovery day. Give yourself 1 day each week away from the bass. This gives your muscles and brain time to recover and also encourages you to go explore things in life that have nothing to do with music. Go make memories, get some bruises, climb trees, get in trouble, get your heart broken. If you don't go live, you've got nothing to play music for. Number 4, listen to your body. Playing the bass is an athletic event, so approach it like athletic conditioning. If you do it wrong, you can hurt yourself. And if something feels wrong, it probably is. Learn the difference between comfortable fatigue and muscle abuse, and make good decisions. Number 5, play on good equipment that is set up correctly. Nothing is more discouraging than trying to do great work with strings that are too high, a fingerboard with bad scoop, or a bow that doesn't work. Your best efforts deserve to be rewarded, so invest in getting your equipment set up right. And those are the basic rules. Play regularly, recover, listen to your body, and set up your equipment for success. The second pillar is why. Why do we practice? Remember, it's different for everyone. I can't say exactly why you should have a practice routine, but I can point out some situations that give context for play and for practicing. In elementary school, we play for fun, and we learn songs to play for teachers, family, and neighbors. In middle school, we learn songs to play in orchestra and to play with our friends and for family and for neighbors. In high school, we play with friends for fun, family, and the community in orchestra, and we practice for contests and college auditions. In college, as a music education major, we prepare for recitals and we grow our skills to be better teachers and musicians. In college, as a music performance major, we grow our skills, master our skills, and prepare for recitals, competitions, auditions, and careers. In a bridge career, after school but before a steady career, we practice our freelance skills, or we build artistic conditioning on the audition or competition circuit. As professional players, we maintain and grow our skill. We practice for learning and mastering our repertoire and for continued professional growth. As teachers, we work to model for and keep up with our students and for continued musical growth and lifelong learning. As adult amateurs, we practice to exercise our lifelong learning for a hobby, to perform with friends and family, or in local and regional groups. We can play for physical, mental, or spiritual therapeutic reasons, or we can have our own personal reasons that no one really needs to know about. At every stage of our life, music has a benefit. It's our duty as human beings to nurture it, because it makes our life and the lives of those around us better. It's not my place to tell you your why, but that can't stop you from naming it. Without knowing it, it just makes everything else you do a little bit unfocused. The third pillar is what? What do we practice? If you're an aspiring professional or an intense hobbyist, here's where to start. There are 10 general things that we practice, which we prioritize according to our goals and targeted improvement areas. Tonalization, scales and arpeggios, which focus on right hand, left hand, or a combination of both. Technique drills and general conditioning. Review pieces, new pieces, double stops, sight reading, improvisation, playing with recordings, and learning songs by ear. These can either be assigned by your teacher or explored on your own in countless method books, etude collections, orchestra parts, or other bass books found easily online or in your school music library. You don't have to sit around waiting for your bass teacher to assign you music to practice. Go explore and let your curiosity guide you. There's so much great music out there just waiting to be played. In this list, the incredibly useful exercises fall under number 3, technique drills and general conditioning. There are a few exercises that fall into other categories, but generally that's where these books are meant to be, just one part of 10 different areas. This leads us to the 4th pillar, the real meat of practicing. How? How do we practice? Well, your how all starts with a decision. You decide how much time you'll commit to your playing and practice. Managing your practice is another way of saying managing your time. If you're a casual musician playing for fun or with friends, the best practice method is just to play. Get with your friends and play songs. You'll get stronger as a simple byproduct of playing. Maybe do some scales or exercises once in a while to learn a trick or two, but then get back in the song. You're amateurs doing it for the love of music, and you're the lifeblood of music in our societies. However, if you're serious about committing yourself to a professional career on the bass, which does mean top-level competition, the first thing you need to do is decide how much time per week you're willing and able to commit to and do it. I've seen high school cross-country runners run 5 miles in the morning every day before school just to keep up their basic conditioning. And if they can do that, we can do daily scales. It's the same mindset. At the highest level of conditioning and practicing, mastery is not about relying on momentary bursts of inspiration. It's about simple commitment to a strict workout regimen that you craft and execute, all while staying in touch with that flame of connection and fun that made you want to play music in the first place. So stick with me for a few minutes while I lay out some painfully detailed practice routine models. These are by no means the only way to go about practicing, but I propose them to give you some ideas about how to start thinking about practice time. Pro tip, in your practice sessions, always have at least 5 items: metronome, tuner, notebook, pencil, and a recording device. Also, if you want to play with recordings, you'll need a stereo with external speakers. Please don't use headphones. They are not helpful. Okay, these are the 6 practice schedules I recommend. These schedules are built using 3 blocks of time: a 30-minute block, a 1-hour block, and a 2-hour block. Both the 1-hour and 2-hour blocks contain a 10-minute break at the end. Each schedule, except for Schedule F, is on a 6-day rotation with 1 day per week for recovery. And by the way, these schedules are listed in the description, so you don't have to write them down now. Schedule A is 3 hours per week, made up of 1 30-minute block per day. Schedule B is 6 hours per week, made up of a 1-hour block per day. Schedule C is 12 hours per week, made up of 2 1-hour blocks or 1 2-hour block per day. Schedule D is 18 hours per week, made up of a 1-hour block plus 1 2-hour block per day. Schedule E is 24 hours per week, which is 4 hours per day, a 1-hour block, a 2-hour block, and another 1-hour block. And last is the Herculean Schedule F, which is 40 hours per week. For you bass performance majors, I recommend trying to get in at least 2 of these per semester. This schedule is 5 days long. You start with 3 days in a row, then 1 day off, and then 2 days in a row and another day off. Each day has 8 hours of practice, 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening, both just like Schedule E. Now, what happens at each level? What are the differences in time practice and how do you choose? If you're at 3 hours per week or less, you'll plateau. When life prevents you from playing, when you're dealing with major life events, this is what you do. You won't experience growth, but you'll have a basic understanding of the bass. When you're at 3 to 6 hours per week, you're maintaining your abilities. This is when you're busy with life or assignments, or you just want to maintain your skills. When you're at 6 to 12 hours per week, you'll see casual growth. This is for when you're casually training for performances or you're learning something new. When you're at 12 to 24 hours per week, you'll be flourishing. This is for when you're training for a career, preparing for recitals or audition and concert runs. This is where college-based performance majors need to be. And finally, when you hit 24 to 40 hours per week, you'll experience power learning and growth. You'll be devouring new music. This is for when you're in top condition and you want to expand your boundaries, incorporate new techniques, and explore new methods or groundbreaking techniques. Use your available time, balance that with your goals, and decide which one you'll choose and stick to it. Your available time may change from week to week depending on your life situations, and that's okay. You'll learn this as you get experience with regularity, and with experience, you'll know which one is best for you. Start small, and once you achieve regularity, grow from there. I really appreciate you listening while I dig through these details. I've talked a lot about time management and strict timings. Those are important, and I hope that you find good use out of it. I do want to say one thing that overrides everything I've just said about time management. Every once in a while in your practice, something really fascinating happens. You'll have an epiphany. You'll suddenly know something you didn't know before, or you'll suddenly just be able to play something that you couldn't before. It's like riding a bike. All of a sudden, you can just do it. And when that happens, and you find yourself with a new superpower or a new level of understanding, you can enter what gamers call a flow state. You'll lose track of time exploring this new power. When that happens, go with it. Get on your bike and ride around the neighborhood. Keep the flow state going for as long as you can afford. The pre-planned techniques and repertoire can all wait. This is really what our practice time is all about, experiencing these amazing moments of discovery and growth and using them to play and explore in new and fun ways. So however much time you spend getting there, when you get there, enjoy it, because it doesn't happen that often, and there's nothing else like it. So far, we've covered 4 of the 5 things that everyone needs to know about practicing. We know the 5 rules, and we know the why, what, and how of practice. The last thing I want to leave you with is the fact that it's necessary to try not to be perfect in your playing. Mistakes are human, and they're going to happen. In my whole life, there are only 2 short performances that I consider ideal, but just 2 out of thousands. Perfection is a terrible thing to strive for because A, it's impossible, and B, trying to make something perfect can actually prevent us from making it good. The writer Voltaire knew this when he said, "The perfect is the enemy of good." And Shakespeare knew it when he wrote King Lear Act 1 Scene 4, "Striving to better, oft we mar what's well." This is why I developed the strategy of recovery, so that we can practice our performance skills. Because that's what we do. All of our performances, good and bad, are just a series of happy accidents and recoveries with a few beautiful moments thrown in. And all of our work to develop our technique gets thrown out the window when you step in front of a live audience to charm some human beings. So here are my ideas of imperfection and recovery. I know a lot of us are perfectionists. As musicians, we spend most of our time in solitary confinement, working out problems and bringing our ideas to life. There's an attitude in our heads that says, I need to be tougher on me than anyone else can be. This helps us power through times when we'd rather give up. There's also another saying in the pedagogy world that I do live by, but I've modified it a lot. In practice, forgive nothing. In performance, forgive everything. When we practice, it's okay to be tough on ourselves. It's valuable to persevere and important to not allow any flaws into our playing. I've spent cumulative months of my life in front of a strobe tuner, with a drone, with a metronome, watching recordings of myself, writing down every flawed detail of my playing that doesn't belong. That's all important, but that doesn't mean that this is the only thing I need to practice in the practice room. There's a skill that we desperately need to cultivate, and that's the skill of performance recovery. And I've found that it's possible to develop the skill in the practice room. That's where the recovery category came from. I started exploring this after I heard a performance idea from Don Green, the legendary performance coach and creator of the website winningonstage.com. The idea goes like this. When we perform, we have a high expectation of ourselves. It's common for performers, musicians, actors, dancers, and athletes to have an expectation of perfection. We want to create a perfect moment. That's an awfully high bar for anyone. So when we're performing and we make that first mistake, our expectation is now shattered because we've failed in our goal. It's not a perfect performance anymore. So the remainder of the performance is filled with remorse, self-condemnation, and regret. Don Green suggests correctly that a better mental approach is not perfection, but optimization. Optimization is the preferred mindset of a performance athlete. Imagine a downhill slalom skier. At the top of the hill, the skier prepares mentally for the run. They're not imagining perfection. They're optimizing their body and mind for a balanced run. This way, when they miss a flag, they accept the penalty, recover, and set up for the next flag. Mistakes are not fatal. They're common and not an excuse for self-punishment, condemnation, or a performance stoppage. That mindset of optimization and recovery does not come naturally, and it needs constant feeding to take root in your psyche. This is another reason that I don't consider my books learning books. You pay attention to the what, why, and how. You start the exercise with a targeted result and muscle group in mind. The enemy of the recovery mindset is the immediate stop when a mistake is made. Every time you allow a mistake to interrupt your practice, you are training the enemy. So to practice the performance and recovery mindset, do this. When it's time to run an exercise, take a few seconds to 1. Accept that you're going to play it straight through no matter what. 2. Acknowledge the skills that'll be stronger because of the exercise. And 3. Figure out how you'll recover when a mistake or fatigue happens. I promise you'll see amazing results with this. And those are the 5 pillars of practicing. We know the rules, the why, what, and how, and that it's necessary to try not to be perfect. After that, it's not a one-size-fits-all curriculum. There are tons of ways to do it with adaptations for each individual that must be carefully chosen and applied. But I hope this gives you some ideas for productive places to start your own practice routine. As you play in practice, always remember that practicing means absolutely nothing if you're not playing for people. What fun is playing the bass if we're not performing? Yes, go practice, but most importantly, go play. Go make a happy fool of yourself and make people smile, cry, sing, and dance. And we can do all of that with a bass in any culture in the world. How lucky are we? Go have fun. Thank you very much for joining me today. I present this in the way that I've used and benefited from it. I don't intend to say that it's the only way to practice. You can adapt these ideas to your style of curiosity, conditioning, playing, or teaching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and leave any questions, comments, observations, success stories, or suggestions below. Please check out the incredibly useful exercises series of workout books, available in paperback and ebook on the Amazon site in your country. I look forward to you joining me next time. Thank you, good luck in your practicing, and be well, friends.